Demi, nice to meet you. Welcome to my channel. As you can probably tell by the title, today I'm talking about my experience living in my sorority house. I don't know, I just thought it was a good time to kind of talk about this since I just got out of the sorority house like last month. And if you guys are living in the house this coming year, this might be some helpful, fun information to have. Or even if you're just going through sorority recruitment this year and you're interested about what living in the house is like, I'm gonna try to tell you my personal experience. Obviously, it's not the same for every single sorority at different schools. It's completely different. I'm just gonna tell you all the information I have from living in the house last year. I am in Pi Beta Phi at the University of Tennessee, if you were wondering. I absolutely love sharing advice for sorority stuff. So if you want any other videos like this, please leave comments down below and I'll film them for you, I promise. Because I know what it's like going through a sorority for the first time and not knowing anything. I had no one in my family that rushed or anything, so if you want to see more of that, I also do have other sorority videos that I'll include in a playlist. So, I want to start off by explaining what a sorority is and what a sorority house is, because there's hair in my eye, sorry. There are countries that don't have sororities, so I just want to lay out the best explanation I possibly can. A sorority is a group of college girls. It's kind of like a club, we could put it that way. It's a group, organization, community within a school, and it's a part of a bigger organization, Greek life, Pan-Hellenic. So what a sorority basically does is we do some charity work, we have events, and it's really just a community of girls that can form lasting connections and friendships, and that sounds so cheesy, I hate myself. But it's really just like a group of girls that can be there for each other, and obviously you're not gonna love every single person, but I've met some of the best people through my sorority. And a sorority house is what it sounds like. Depending on what school you're at and what sorority you're in, different ages live in the house, or some schools don't even have sorority houses, but it's basically this big mansion that like a ton of girls live in. Mine was personally 36 girls, I believe. Basically at Tennessee, we are in what is called Sorority Village. There are 13 sororities at the University of Tennessee, and all 13 houses are in the same little area. So it's like a little neighborhood of sorority houses. All of them are beautiful, stunning. I'm biased to my own, but they all are really beautiful houses to live in, and it's a great opportunity. Everyone expects living in a sorority house to be expensive. At least at Tennessee, it's around the same cost as it was for me to live in my dorm freshman year. It's about the same, but that's not counting like sorority dues on top of it, because you do have to pay dues to be in a sorority. For me, it was the best option sophomore year. At Tennessee, the sororities mostly have just sophomores living in the house. There are some older classmen, but freshmen can't really live in the house because they're already in dorms, if that makes sense. There are some upperclassmen that do live in the house. It's usually people with administration positions, but you can go into the house if you'd like to, no matter what, I'm pretty sure. So like I said, I was in a house of like 36 girls, about. Now, I'm gonna just explain the layout of the house so you can kind of get a picture. So the first floor, we have like a living room, a formal living room, our chapter room. The next floor up, we have our kitchen and our study, and the kitchen also is like our dining room. It's not like a big dining room like you're probably picturing. It's just a place we eat. Our house mom is also on the second floor. And then the third floor is where all of us lived. So each room is a little bit different sized, but most of them are around the same size. There's 2-person rooms in my house and 4-person rooms in my house. I lived in a 4-person room. Getting into that is, I guess, the first thing I can explain. Freshman year, I lived in a suite with 3 other girls, but I only shared a room with 1 other girl. And my entire life before that, I had never shared a room with anyone unless I was like at camp. But it's very different living with so many people. I'm a very independent person, so there were times where I wanted to be alone, and like you don't get that option really, especially being in a room with 3 other girls. So what I did is I picked my roommate, Brooke. You guys know Brooke. We know and love Brooke. I chose her, and then we were either gonna get a 2-person room or a 4-person room depending on our point system. I'm not gonna go into that in this video. but we ended up in a 4-person room, so then we just ended up pairing with 2 other girls. I don't know if they want me to like say their names, so I'm not gonna. So it was the 4 of us in one room. It is a pretty big room for 4 people, but storage space is really difficult because of the layout of the room. I basically had my closet and under my bed, and that's where I had storage. I was in like a tall loft bed. If you guys haven't seen my move-in video, you can kind of see the layout better in that. I'm gonna very briefly touch on my roommate experience because I don't want this to be anything negative. Obviously Brooke is one of my best friends, so loved living with her. It's really cool just to wake up with your best friends, and like even my friends that were in the house too, down the hallway. Jenna lived down the hallway. Like just waking up and being able to spend that time with your friends all the time is so fun. And if I needed alone time, my secret is I would just get in my car, listen to music, and drive around. That's just what I did. I don't know why, but I felt safe in my car, so if I ever needed alone time, that's where I would go. And then the 2 roommates that me and Brooke paired up with, okay, I'm trying to put this as nicely as possible, but I'm just gonna come out and say it. One of them I completely adore, sweetest girl ever, and the other one I had issues with. You're not gonna like everyone, but that doesn't mean to be rude to them, if that makes sense. I try to be as kind as possible to everyone in any situation with life in general. And so living in the house, I really had a great time with most of the people. Some people I just didn't really talk to that much, and it wasn't because I didn't like them, it's just because like we weren't close. But I did get closer with so many new people that I never would have gotten closer with if it weren't for living in the house this year. And that's that on that. Having your best friends literally right down the hall is probably the coolest thing I've ever experienced. If you have like a half hour in between classes, you can go hang out with your friends because they're right there. But if you were somewhere else, you can't exactly like walk 10 minutes to go hang out with a friend, only hang out with them for 10 minutes and then walk back to your dorm and then go to class. Like having the accessibility to your friends is so amazing. And that's what helped me get so close to the people I am best friends with. So with that being said, I kind of want to go into pros and cons, but not in like a list format. I'm just going to go over each point and explain my viewpoints on it. The first one obviously is living with your best friends. It's super cool, and also getting to grow relationships and bonding with people that you never would have gotten the chance to. People that I love now because I lived with them, but I probably would have never talked to them if I didn't live in the house with them. And so I think that's a really amazing way to meet people. Not just meet them because I knew who they were, but getting to know them. I don't know, it's a really unique experience. Like just eating dinner together or watching TV together is a really fun thing to do. A con, you don't get to choose your meals. We're on a meal plan, at least my house in Tennessee was. So we got breakfast every weekday morning, but it was really just like cereal, bagels, toast, stuff like that. Sometimes our house mom, Nana, my heart, she's the best. She's actually the best person ever. She would make us like biscuits for breakfast sometimes, or yogurt parfaits, and like she didn't need to do that. She just liked cooking for us, and I think that is the sweetest thing ever. She's an angel sent from above. I love her. But where I was going with this is we get breakfast weekdays and then lunch and dinner Monday through Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're kind of on your own, which for us was super difficult. Now, in past years, the girls were able to use the actual kitchen. The kitchen is separated from like the eating space. And so in past years, people were able to use the kitchen, but this year with COVID, we were not allowed to cook in the kitchen. So we only had access to a fridge and some microwaves. This is especially hard on the weekends because you can't exactly make yourself like good meals. Like you could heat up some mac and cheese or like some freezer food or leftovers, but you couldn't really cook. So on the weekends we ate out a lot. It's a big waste of money is what it feels like. And it really isn't the house's fault, it's more COVID's fault. They can't provide meals for every single meal of every single day. It just gets really pricey. We would have had to pay a lot more if we wanted to do that. And a lot of times on the weekend, people aren't there eating. Like a lot of people go out on the weekends anyway to eat. but having to eat like every meal out on the weekends does get a bit pricey. That's my one con. And then the same thing with meals, you don't get to choose what you have, so if you don't like the food, you kind of just gotta go with it or go get food from somewhere else and like bring it back to the house. So that is a bit tough because you can't cook exactly what you want, but that's expected. The meals that I liked, like that were my taste, I think were pretty good. They were also a bit different this year because usually they're served like hot, kind of like buffet style, but with COVID they had to be served kind of like takeout box style. So things were just different because of COVID, and that's another one of my cons. I think all of the things that I didn't like about living in the house, most of them were contributed to living in a house with 36 people during COVID. It was extremely difficult, and I know it was difficult for every sorority on our campus. The biggest issue is that if there's one outbreak, then there's many people that have to be quarantined. So going into like COVID guidelines, I guess I'll touch on that and then I'll move on. We have 3 community bathrooms up with our rooms that we all share. We were assigned to our bathrooms this way. If someone in the bathroom gets it, then not the whole house has to quarantine, just the people that are in that bathroom have to quarantine. I personally have never had COVID, but in my entire time living at the house, I had to quarantine like 3 or 4 times, and I've never had it. So it gets a little annoying. I get it, like we're being safe. It's university guidelines because we are considered university housing. We are on campus. We're just in a sorority house instead of a dorm. So I understand the idea of being safe, but when you're wasting like 4 weeks of your life in not even 4, oh god, way more. So let's say I had to quarantine 3 times while living in the house. That's 6 weeks of my life. 6 weeks of my life where I couldn't do anything. People who had classes on campus couldn't go. People who had labs on campus couldn't go, which I know is a big thing because you have to have a certain amount of labs in order to complete like a science course. And if you miss them because of COVID, then you can't pass the class because you have to have a certain amount of labs. And so for us, that was difficult. And that is probably the biggest con, was COVID. I would have loved living in the house way more if it wasn't COVID, but we can't change how the world was / is still right now. But I'm hoping that it's gonna get better for next year for those of you who are living in sorority houses next year. We also had to do spit tests every Monday morning. It didn't matter if we were vaccinated or not. We had to wake up bright and early because it had to be given in by 11, which isn't that early, but spit in the tube before you eat, drink, brush your teeth, anything like that. Then you walk your little tube down and you give it to someone, and it's so weird because you're handing a tube of your spit to some random person and you kind of feel bad about it. But yeah, that was a low light, but that was also because of COVID. So that's probably the biggest con I actually have about living in the house, was just COVID, but that's not the sorority's fault, it's not the university's fault, it's just the state of the world. A big pro is that I lived in a mansion from August till May, which is so cool. My mindset going into it was I will never get the chance to live in a house this beautiful or big or, I don't know, fancy. Like, you only get to have this experience like once in your life where you can actually live in a mansion with 36 other girls. And yes, there are some like things that you might not like about it, but it's honestly such a cool experience just living in this big house with a bunch of your friends, having a good time all the time. And they really do make the houses super nice. They have great spaces to hang out in, great places to hang out with your friends. We hung out in our living room and our study a lot. We also had a back patio. Even doing online classes from the patio was one of my favorite things. So you get to live in a mansion, essentially. And that sounds great, doesn't it? And you're not paying like insane amount of money to live in a mansion. It's pretty cool. Another pro is that it was technically on-campus housing, so you can get to classes by taking a bus. That's the only thing. Our sorority village is kind of out of the way of campus. It's not, I mean, it's on campus, but it's on the far side of campus. So you could walk if you really wanted to, but it would take you like half hour, 45 minutes to like get to one of your classes. Luckily for us, we didn't have many classes in person this year, which was kind of convenient because we didn't have to get on the bus and go to campus. We could just chill by the house or drive our cars if we wanted to like go to a coffee shop and do our classes and schoolwork from there. Like I said, the cost is pretty nice. It's lower than anyone would expect it to be. It's about the same as living in a dorm, and the meal plan is about the same as getting a meal plan on campus. It's not like you're jumping from paying X amount of dollars freshman year to like paying X times Y sophomore year living in the house. Like, it's a very average price range for both, at least at my school in my case. The meal plan was nice because it just saves time from having to cook. Even with some of the cons of it, it was a great thing to have because I could just walk downstairs and go get myself my lunch and go back to my class. Like, it was really convenient to have that meal plan, and it's even more convenient than living in the dorms was because I had to, you know, plan out time to go to the dining hall to get my food, to eat my food. But in the sorority house, I could just go downstairs, grab my food, go back to my room, or like go eat on the patio while I'm in class. Community bathrooms. Our bathrooms were honestly super nice. Like, they really weren't bad. They're way better than the community bathrooms in the dorms, where I personally didn't have a community bathroom in the dorm. That is why it was a little difficult for me to adjust walking from my room to shower. Just the convenience of it was a little less convenient than my suite style dorm and than what I'm used to. So just having to like go into the hallway with like your shower caddy and your towel, and it's a lot of things to carry back and forth from your room to the bathroom. Another thing is that then you have to have all of your bathroom stuff in your room. More stuff that you have to find space for. I'm super excited to have my own apartment next year. I love living in the house, but I'm excited to have a bathroom where I can put all my toiletries and not have to keep them in my room. It's gonna save so much space, honestly. So we had free laundry. I had free laundry my freshman year in my dorm too, but we had to go down to the basement to do my laundry in my dorm. In the sorority house, the laundry room is actually on the same floor as all of our bedrooms. And so I would just walk down the hallway and throw my stuff in. We had 3 washers, 3 dryers. With 36 people, sometimes it gets a little chaotic in there. Some days it's completely fine doing laundry. Some days you can throw it in, take your time with it. Other days, however, especially weekends, people are like fighting over washers and dryers. People leave their stuff in for too long, and like people start texting them, can you take your stuff out of the dryer? But having a washer dryer right down the hall is really convenient. You just have to find the right times to do your laundry. Noise issues. Okay, this one's kind of interesting because no one ever thinks about it. Even when you're in your own room and like say your roommates aren't there, or if they are there, they're working on schoolwork too, there could be people out in the hallway just like running around, being loud. Especially with online school, this was super difficult because people would have to take online exams. And so if someone was taking an exam, it'd be kind of hard because some girls would be being loud, and there were some noise issues that way. If people wanted to hang out and listen to music one night, but another girl was studying, that was kind of difficult. This has happened to multiple people. If I'm staying up late in my room, but someone next door to me is trying to go to bed so they can do their schoolwork and like take a test in the morning, then it's super difficult to organize that kind of thing out because you have to be able to adapt to what other people need, and we're there for school, so it's understandable that people would want to have a school kind of environment and need to get their sleep. But some people also want to stay up, so that gets a little tricky trying to figure out what everyone needs at certain times because you can hear things that aren't in your room. Probably one of the biggest pros is like if you ever need help with anything, there is someone in that house that knows how to do it. This has happened multiple times. Not even if you need help with anything, but if you need to borrow anything, someone has it. I needed safety pins to pin up my pants one game day because they were too long because I'm short. And you just text in the group me and you're like, hey, does anyone have safety pins? And then you get some safety pins. Or Brooke had a hole in her shirt, and so she went in the group me, does anyone know how to sew? Someone fixed the hole in her shirt. Like stuff like that, or even stuff like schoolwork if you ever need help with a certain subject, there's someone in that house that has taken that class and knows how to do it and can help you do it. Or there are people that are in your classes taking the same things and you can do it together, you can study together. If I needed to like borrow a top from Brooke or Jenna, they're like right there, as opposed to me having to like go over to their dorm or apartment and like go borrow a top or like stuff like that. It just makes it so nice to be able to share things with people, share your knowledge, share your items. So nice having access to all these different things in a house, even if you personally don't have them. Obviously ask, don't just like steal things from people. It's a great little community of girls just trying to help each other out in the real world, you know? People like to think that college kids are just doing great. I know I thought college kids were doing 100% great when I was in high school, but you really don't see how much help we actually need. It's weird sometimes, but we just try to make it work. Being in a house with other people trying to make college life work and like adult life work out for them is super validating because you don't feel so alone, which is really cool. And that's another thing. If you need someone, you don't have to be alone. You don't have to go through anything by yourself. You can just go talk to someone and someone will help you out, and that's probably one of the best things. When you're sad like that, like random people will just come up and hug you. Like if you're crying, people are just gonna be there for you and you're never gonna be alone in that sense unless you need your alone time. Then go to your car. I promise it helps. That's really all I have to touch on. I just want to end this video by saying it was a amazing experience for me. I loved living with my best friends. I'm going to continue to keep these people in my life and socialize with these people that I've now become so close with. I will say I'm not doing it again. I look forward to not living in the house again, but that is not because of my experience. I just look forward to having my own space to myself again because it's been quite some time since I've had my own room at college. I'm also excited to be in an apartment setting instead of like a dorm kind of setting because I can cook for myself. I have my own bathroom. It's just, I'm excited for what's to come, but I do not at all regret my time living in the house. I think it's helped make me who I am today, and I absolutely loved it. And so if you're considering living in your house, do it. Please do it. And I don't think you'll regret it. I mean, I can only speak for myself and my story, and I don't regret it at all. Living in the house, I made some amazing memories with some amazing people, and I highly recommend it if you're considering it, or if you are, make the best of your time there because you're gonna miss it when you're out of it. The one point I wanted to save until the end because I knew you were all waiting for it. Drama. All I'm gonna say is there's way less than you think. There's drama no matter where you go. You could have drama in a dorm, you could have drama in an apartment. But everyone thinks sorority houses are breeding grounds for drama, and maybe some are, but ours really wasn't. It was pretty low-key, pretty chill most of the time. If you are like me and you hate drama, I do hate drama. I was most scared about that going into my time living in the house. All you have to do is be the best person you could possibly be and don't spread negativity or hate or drama. That's all. If you guys like this, please give it a thumbs up. Like I said before, if you have any more sorority content videos you want to see, tell me down below. I'll definitely do them. Check out all my social medias. I have lots of pictures from my time living in the house. You can go check those out. And I just figured to end this video, I'll insert some fun pictures and videos that I got while living in the house, and that'll be the end of this, and you can enjoy seeing how much fun I truly had. So, bye guys!